All right, so today we're doing a deep dive into the world of hacktivism,
All right.
specifically anonymous, and we're going to be unpacking a 2014 sociology thesis
Okay.
called The Culture of Hacktivism, a qualitative study of anonymous.
Interesting.
And this isn't just going to be like a how-to on hacking.
Right.
This is really about understanding the culture, the motivations, the sometimes conflicting viewpoints.
Yeah, that's what I find so fascinating about this thesis.
Yeah.
Is it challenges this perception of anonymous.
Okay.
As this structured group.
Right.
With a hierarchy.
Right. Like you hear anonymous.
Yeah.
You picture like
Hooded figures.
yeah, a room full of hooded figures.
Exactly.
But you're saying it's a lot more nuanced?
Way more nuanced. The thesis really dives into
Okay.
how anonymous members themselves actually reject
Interesting.
those labels.
Right.
They see themselves
Yeah.
more as an idea, a force for change,
Okay.
rather than like a rigid, structured organization.
Okay, so how do you even begin to study something like that? That
That can be a
seems
challenge.
really tricky.
Yeah. And that's what the thesis gets at. It's like
Yeah.
the author focuses on these online forums
Right.
where people who identify as anonymous are communicating.
Okay.
And that becomes the basis for understanding
Yeah.
their values, their goals, their worldview.
So anyone can kind of claim to be anonymous,
Yeah.
but it's in these online spaces
Yeah,
that sort of shared ethos
exactly.
emerges.
It's this fluidity,
Uh-huh.
the lack of like a strict membership or a central leadership.
Yeah.
That's their strength, but also their biggest challenge.
That makes sense, but to really understand anonymous, we kind of need to go back to the roots of the hacker community.
Totally. They didn't just appear out of nowhere.
Right, right.
The early so-called true hackers,
Right.
like going back to the 50s and 60s, these guys were driven by like a playful curiosity
Okay.
about technology.
So more like digital explorers
Precisely.
than the hooded figures
Yes.
we picture today.
And the thesis highlights
Okay.
this shift that happened around the mid-90s,
Okay.
where this political consciousness starts to emerge within the hacker community.
Okay.
And that's where Anonymous comes in.
So where do they?
Well, they
Where do they fit in?
they come from the depths of 4chan,
Oh, wow.
that online image board
Yeah.
that's kind of notorious for its anonymity
Right.
and, let's face it,
Yeah.
tendency to embrace chaos.
So 4chan, this breeding ground for memes
Right.
and internet subcultures, that's where Anonymous finds its footing.
It really is.
That's kind of perfect.
And in the beginning, their actions were more prankster-like, almost like elaborate online jokes. But then something interesting happened.
What's that?
They transitioned towards more deliberate
Okay.
political action.
They've got organized.
They did.
Okay.
So you see this fascinating evolution from playful hacking
Yeah.
to a movement with like real-world implications.
Okay, so let's dig into this idea of what Anonymous is and
Right.
what it isn't.
Right.
Because they really seem to resist
They do.
being categorized.
They reject labels.
Yeah.
They want to be seen as this
Yeah.
collective force, this mindset.
But the thesis doesn't just take that at face value.
Right. It goes deeper.
Like there's got to be more to it.
It analyzes the forum discussions,
Right.
and you see this tension
Okay.
between this ideal
Yeah.
of a fluid, formless entity
Uh-huh.
and how things actually play out.
So there are patterns,
There are
even within this.
even within this seemingly amorphous group,
Okay.
for instance,
Yeah.
while anyone can claim to be anonymous,
Right.
the thesis points out that those who participate in these forums,
Yeah.
they gravitate towards shared values.
So even though there's no official leader
Right.
or membership card or anything like that,
Yeah,
there is a sense of community,
there is.
shared purpose.
And that's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
How do you reconcile this idea
Yeah.
of a leaderless movement
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
the reality
Yeah.
of coordinated action?
That's the paradox.
That's the
Yeah.
paradox
Yeah.
that the thesis is exploring.
So what are some of those
Yeah.
unifying goals?
Ooh.
Because we hear like
You hear fighting for freedom.
fighting for freedom.
That can mean a lot of things
Yeah, that can mean a lot of things.
to different people.
Right, right.
And the thesis really digs into that.
Okay.
It's not this monolithic entity
Right.
where everyone's on the same page.
Okay.
There's a diverse landscape of viewpoints.
Okay. Give us some examples
Sorry.
of these different perspectives.
One interesting thread is this focus on
Okay.
education
Mm-hmm.
and awareness.
Okay.
So some members
Yeah.
see information as a weapon,
Okay.
for change.
Okay.
Right. They believe that exposing injustice,
So it's not always about, like, hacking into systems
not at all.
or launching digital attacks.
No.
Okay.
For some, it's about empowering people
Yeah.
with information.
Okay. That's one perspective.
That's
What?
one.
What are some of the others?
Well, there's also those who advocate for more direct action.
Okay.
They see hacking as a necessary tool
Okay.
to combat what they perceive as government overreach
Okay.
or corporate greed.
And this is where the ethics.
Exactly. The ethics of hacking come into play.
Right.
And even within Anonymous, there's a range of views on this.
Okay.
Some see hacking as like a last resort, like when traditional forms of protest have failed.
Okay.
Others believe there needs to be like ethical considerations
Okay.
and responsible use of those skills.
So even within this decentralized movement,
Absolutely.
there are these internal debates about how far is too far.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's not just about hacking either.
Okay.
There are discussions about like the role of violence.
Okay.
With some advocating for peaceful revolution.
Yeah.
And others acknowledging the potential need for more radical measures.
Okay, so let's talk about hacking specifically.
Okay.
I think a lot of people picture Anonymous as this group of like elite super hackers.
Right.
Like something out of a Hollywood movie.
Right, but the thesis challenges that most Anonymous members actually have, like average technical skills.
Okay.
They rely on readily available tools for carrying out what are called distributed denial of service attacks or DDoS attacks.
DDoS.
Okay.
So they're not necessarily...
So they're not all masterminds capable of...
No, not necessarily.
...breaking into the Pentagon or something.
These DDoS attacks are more about disruption than infiltration.
Okay.
They use tools.
Yeah.
Like LOIC and HOIC.
Okay.
Which are designed to... like flood a website with traffic and basically take it offline.
So it's like clogging a highway.
That's a great analogy.
With too many cars.
Yeah.
Causing a digital traffic jam.
Totally. Now, these tools are relatively simple to use.
Okay.
Which is why they appeal to a mass movement.
Strength in numbers.
Exactly.
Okay.
You don't need to be a coding whiz to participate.
A swarm of digital bees.
That's it.
Okay.
And it's important to understand how these tools work.
Okay.
So both LOIC and HOIC, essentially.
Yeah.
Send a massive number of requests to a target server, overwhelming its capacity to respond, and essentially taking it offline. So even if you don't have advanced hacking skills, you can still contribute to these attacks.
Yeah, that's the power of it.
That's pretty powerful.
It is.
But they have their limitations, right?
They do.
Like they're not
designed for like sophisticated data breaches or stealing information.
Okay.
They're primarily about disruption.
So while these tools are accessible and can be quite effective, it's not about like
stealing nuclear codes,
stealing nuclear launch codes or anything like that. It's more about
just
making a statement by disrupting online services.
And again, even within Anonymous, there are debates about the ethics and the effectiveness of these DDoS attacks.
So some see it as a justified form of digital protest, while others question the long-term impact.
The long-term impact.
Potential collateral damage.
Absolutely. And this brings us to, I think, the iconic symbol of Anonymous.
Okay.
The Guy Fawkes mask.
The mask,
It's more than just a cool visual.
Yeah, it's more than just a cool visual.
Yeah, the thesis really explores this.
Okay.
How the mask serves both a practical and symbolic function.
Okay, let's break that down. What's the practical side?
Well, on a practical level, it provides anonymity.
Okay.
Which is crucial in a world where
Right.
hacktivism is increasingly criminalized.
Makes sense. You don't want your face plastered
Right.
all over the news.
You don't want to be doxxed.
If you're engaging in activities, that might land you in hot water.
Exactly. And this anonymity also empowers people to participate without fear of personal or professional consequences.
Okay.
It lowers the barrier to entry.
Right.
For activists.
So the mask becomes like a shield.
Right. Both literally and figuratively.
A shield.
Okay.
But it's also more than just protection.
Right.
The mask also has this powerful symbolism.
Okay.
It allows individuals to transcend their individual identities and project a unified message.
It's like they become part of something larger than themselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a symbol of solidarity, a visual representation of their shared commitment.
You got this really interesting blend of practicality and symbolism in this one object. It's a protection. It's a statement. And a rallying point.
Exactly.
All rolled into one.
It's effective branding.
Yeah, that's pretty effective branding if you think about it.
It is.
Okay, so we've seen how Anonymous emerged from the hacker community. We've seen how their
fluid structure.
Yeah, this fluid structure works.
Their diverse motivations, the tools they use, even the symbolism. Of this iconic mask.
Right.
But the big question is hacktivism actually a force for change?
And so we're good.
Or is it just
explore next time?
Digital noise?
Yeah, can it actually make a difference?
All right, well, we're going to find out.
You'll see.
Next time.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. So, picking up where we left off.
Yeah.
Can hacktivism be a true force for change?
Yeah, because it's one thing to grab headlines, with a daring digital stunt.
Right.
But it's another thing entirely to create lasting impact.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the thesis doesn't offer a simple yes or no answer.
Okay.
It presents a more nuanced perspective.
Okay.
Drawing on insights from security experts who have witnessed the evolution of hacktivism firsthand.
So what do these experts say about the effectiveness of hacktivism? Does it actually move the needle?
One key takeaway is that hacktivism often emerges in response to the perceived failures of traditional forms of protest.
So when peaceful marches and petitions fall on deaf ears?
It's like a pressure valve releasing.
Yeah, okay.
When people feel unheard, ignored by those in power.
So hacktivism steps in to...
Precisely. Yeah, because of its digital nature, it offers a more immediate and potentially disruptive form of action.
Okay.
You can, think about it.
Yeah.
You can organize a protest online in a matter of hours.
Right.
And with a single click, you can reach
a global audience.
A global audience.
It's like bypassing the gatekeepers of traditional media.
Right.
Yeah.
And taking your message directly
to the people.
To the people.
That's powerful.
And that speed and reach can be incredibly powerful.
Okay.
Especially in situations where time is of the essence.
Yeah.
A well-coordinated DDoS attack, for example, can cripple a website.
Right.
Online service.
Yeah.
Causing financial losses. Reputational damage.
So it's not just about raising awareness.
Right.
It's about hitting them where it hurts.
Exactly. So, their bottom line.
Right.
Their public image.
And this brings us to another
crucial point.
Okay.
The impact of hacktivism.
Okay.
On the security industry itself.
You'd think with all these high-profile attacks that security companies would be like...
Well, they're definitely thriving.
Yeah.
But it's not just about profits.
Okay.
Hacktivism has forced the industry to adapt and evolve at an unprecedented pace.
Okay.
It's like an arms race with hackers developing new techniques and security professionals scrambling to defend against them.
So hacktivism is inadvertently...
It's a paradoxical outcome.
Yeah.
But one that the thesis highlights.
Yeah.
Hacktivism for all.
Yeah.
Its disruptive potential.
Okay.
Has shone a light.
Okay.
On the vulnerabilities of our digital infrastructure.
So they're kind of doing us all a favor.
In a sense.
By exposing these weaknesses.
It's a wake-up call.
Yeah.
It's forcing businesses and governments to take security more seriously.
And this increased awareness has fueled a booming market.
Absolutely.
For security products and services.
Huge market.
So companies and individuals are investing more
and more
in protecting their data and systems, which ultimately
benefits everyone.
Benefits everyone.
Okay, so hacktivism has definitely left its mark on the world. Left its mark. It's raised awareness.
It's spurred innovation. In the security industry.
Absolutely.
And it's offered this alternative avenue for protest. But what are the long-term implications?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah, where do we go from here?
And the thesis concludes by leaving us with a provocative thought.
Hit us with it.
To ponder.
I love a good thought-provoking question.
If hacktivism is a symptom of deeper societal issues, things like political disenfranchisement, corporate greed, the erosion of privacy, then simply cracking down on hackers isn't a sustainable solution.
It's like treating the symptoms without addressing the underlying cause.
You can't just slap a Band-Aid on a gaping wound.
Right, you can't just...
and expect it to heal.
Yeah, put a Band-Aid on a gaping wound and expect it to heal.
So the challenge for us as a society is to find ways to address those root causes, to create systems that are more equitable, transparent, accountable.
To build a world where hacktivism is...
That's the ultimate...
no longer a necessary form of protest because people feel like they have a voice.
It requires a shift in our thinking.
Yeah.
A willingness to challenge the status quo.
Yeah.
Imagine new possibilities.
So what does all of this mean for our listener out there? You know, tuning in, trying to make sense of this complex world.
It's not just about understanding Anonymous or the technicalities of hacking. It's about recognizing the forces at play in our increasingly digital world and how technology is reshaping the landscape of power.
And protest.
So understanding how these digital tools can be used to
challenge authority.
Something
change.
But also recognizing the ethical dilemmas and the potential consequences.
That's complicated stuff.
It is. It's about asking yourself, what am I willing to stand up for? And how can I use my voice, whether online or offline, to make a difference?
Because in the end, the fight for freedom and justice
that's not confined.
Isn't confined to the digital realm.
To the digital realm.
It's a battle.
It's a battle.
That's being waged in every corner of our lives.
And it requires all of us to be informed, engaged, and ready to challenge systems that no longer serve us.
Well said.
Now,
before we wrap up this deep dive into hacktivism and Anonymous, we want to leave you with one final thought, something to mull over.
As you
navigate this.
Navigate this complex landscape. We've explored the evolution of hacking. The motivations of Anonymous, the effectiveness of their tactics, and the ethical dilemmas they raise.
The ethical dilemmas.
But one thing that hasn't been explicitly addressed in this thesis. Is this question of historical parallels.
Yes, because
understanding Anonymous
isn't just about is not just about
the here and now.
It's about recognizing
their struggle,
recognizing that their struggle is part
of
a larger historical narrative. Throughout history, we've seen countless movements that have challenged authority,
disrupted the status quo, and fought for a more just and equitable world.
From the Luddites smashing weaving machines to the suffragettes. Demanding the right to vote. People have always found ways to resist oppression and demand change.
Exactly.
So the question for you,
the
listener,
is this. How does Anonymous fit into this historical continuum? Are they simply a modern manifestation of age-old struggles? For power
and freedom.
Or
are they something
entirely new? A product
of
our uniquely digital age. And how might hacktivism itself evolve?
How might hacktivism evolve
in the future?
Will
it become even more sophisticated, disruptive? Or will it eventually be rendered obsolete by
new technology? New forms of resistance.
And
those are questions worth pondering.
And that's the beauty of a deep dive like this. It's not about reaching definitive conclusions. It's about sparking curiosity. Encouraging continued exploration.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe you.
Maybe you.
Our listener.
The listener.
Will be the one.
To write the next chapter.
To write the next chapter.
In the story.
Of hacktivism.
Of hacktivism.
So we've talked about Anonymous being this, like, you know, fluid, decentralized collective.
Right.
But the thesis also uncovers this fascinating debate, this internal debate within their ranks. It's this whole question of, like, are they peacemakers or revolutionaries?
That's a great point. It really gets to the heart of, like, the contradictions of Anonymous.
Yeah.
The thesis explores how many members really emphasize their commitment to peaceful activism.
Okay.
You know, advocating for nonviolent methods.
So they're more like digital activists?
In a way.
Using their tech savvy to advocate for
social justice.
Social justice.
But it's not always that simple.
Right.
The thesis also highlights how many Anonymous members identify as revolutionaries.
Okay.
Seeking a fundamental shift.
Okay.
In power structures.
And for some that means
and for some
a willingness to engage in
more radical actions, even if it blurs the lines.
Even if it blurs the lines
of legality.
Yeah, that's where things get really interesting, because the idea of revolution can be interpreted in so many different ways.
So many different ways.
Yeah.
And the thesis doesn't shy away from this.
Okay.
It explores how some members justify hacking as a necessary tool when they believe that traditional avenues for change have failed.
Right.
It's a complex issue.
It makes you wonder, like, what does revolution even mean?
Oh, yeah, what does it mean?
In the context of the digital age.
In the digital age.
Like, is it about toppling governments?
Right.
Toppling corporations?
It's about,
Or is it about something...
Doing down the system.
Yeah, or is it about something more subtle, like...
Right. Or is it about...
Shifting the balance of power.
Shifting the balance...
Through information and awareness.
Through information,
Yeah, that's a key question.
That is a key question.
And the thesis...
looks at
how this concept of anarchy plays into this...
Anarchy, for some Anonymous members, anarchy isn't about chaos and violence.
Okay.
It's about dismantling what they perceive as unjust hierarchies.
So it's more about creating a more egalitarian society.
More egalitarian.
Where power is
distributed more evenly.
More evenly distributed, a digital utopia, perhaps?
Well, that's the ideal.
Okay.
At least for some.
Okay.
And the thesis points out how this vision of anarchy really aligns with, like, core values within the hacker community. Like, this inherent distrust of authority. This belief in decentralization.
But I imagine not everyone.
Oh, absolutely not.
Within Anonymous is on board with the whole anarchy thing.
There's a spectrum of beliefs.
Of course.
As you might expect.
Yeah.
The thesis highlights how many members see anarchy as dangerous.
Yeah.
Destabilizing.
Okay.
They believe in the need for some form of government. Even if they're critical.
Even if they're
critical of the current system.
Right. So even within this decentralized, fluid movement, there's this constant push and pull.
There is.
Between different ideologies. Different visions for the future.
And that's what makes it so fascinating to study.
It's a microcosm.
It's a microcosm.
Of larger societal debates.
About
power, freedom.
The
role of technology.
In
shaping our world.
Yeah. It's really fascinating.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
In this deep dive.
We've got deep.
We've explored the origins of hacktivism, delved into
the complex motivation.
His complex motivations of Anonymous, examine their tools.
And tactics.
And even contemplated, the
effectiveness.
And the ethics.
Of their actions.
Absolutely.
But before we sign off, I want to circle back to that final thought-provoking point you raised about historical parallels.
Yeah, because understanding Anonymous isn't just about the here and now.
Right.
It's about placing their struggle within a larger historical context throughout history. We've seen countless movements that have dared to challenge authority. Disrupt the status quo. And demand a more just world. I mean, think about
the American Revolutionary.
Defying British rule.
The suffragettes.
The suffragettes fighting for
the right to vote.
The right to vote.
The civil rights activists.
Civil rights activists.
Demanding equality.
Demanding equality.
These movements, well, separated by time and context.
Time and context. All share.
All share.
This common thread.
A common thread.
They demonstrate a willingness.
They do.
To fight for what they believe in.
Absolutely.
Even when faced with seemingly insurmountable obstacles. So the question we leave our listeners with is this.
Yes.
Where does Anonymous fit into this historical tapestry?
Where do they fit in?
Are they a digital age expression of these timeless struggles?
These timeless struggles.
For freedom and justice.
For freedom and justice?
Or are they forging a new path? Unique to our
interconnected, technologically driven world. It's a question that deserves careful consideration.
That deserves careful consideration.
And one that will likely
should continue to be debated.
As technology evolves.
The
nature of protest.
And the nature of protest.
Continues to transform.
And that's the beauty.
Of
a deep dive like this. It's not about
giving you all the answers.
Handing you all the answers.
It's about giving you the tools.
It's about equipping you.
The knowledge.
The knowledge.
To think critically.
And the critical thinking skills.
About these issues.
To grapple with these. Complex issues. Yourself.
Yeah, we've only scratched the surface here.
But
hopefully, we've sparked your curiosity. Inspired you to keep exploring. This fascinating world. Of hacktivism. And anonymous. Who knows? Maybe you'll be the one. To unravel some of these mysteries. And shed new light. On this ever-evolving movement. It's a journey, that's for sure.
It's a journey.
Yeah.
And with that, we conclude our deep dive.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining us.
On this journey.
Into the heart.
Of hacktivism.
We
hope you found it insightful.
Engaging.
And maybe even a little bit unsettling. Until next time. Keep questioning. Keep exploring.
And keep diving deep.